Welcome to this week's CybHER conversation brought to you by Peraton. My name is Janessa Palmieri, and on behalf of Peraton, we are proud to partner with CybHER to bring you these weekly conversations. For those of you who are joining us today for the first time, CybHER is a program out of Dakota State University in Madison, South Dakota, that works to motivate, educate, and empower women in cybersecurity. Just a reminder, at any point during the program, you can ask a question via the Q&A at the bottom of your screen. Kanthi Narakonda, who is a PhD student at Dakota State, will be our Q&A facilitator. And I am very honored to introduce today's speaker, Angela Marafino. Angela is a program manager within the Security, Compliance, and Management Organization of Experiences and Devices at Microsoft. Angela, thank you for being here today, and you can take the floor.
Thank you, Janessa. Hi, everyone. Let me share my screen with you. Let me know if you can see it. I may have shared the wrong screen, so please let me know.
I think you got the slideshow. I think you got the correct one.
Okay, great. All right, so hi, my name is Angela Marafino, and as Janessa said, I am currently a program manager at Microsoft, working mostly with security and compliance. I wanted to I will address that, but I wanted to kind of start back with like how I got into cybersecurity and all the other things that I do. So how did I get here I ask myself that a lot, but we'll just kind of walk through it. So hi, I'm Angela. I cut my hair off, so I look a little bit different than in these pictures, but this is me before and after getting a job at Microsoft. So on the right, I was kind of networking at a conference and having a good time, and on the left, I nerding it up and being a proud little Microsoft newbie. So here I am, and I am currently located in Seattle as well. So working remotely these days. Okay, so who I am. So we mentioned my current role. I'm also a moderator or host of this virtual book club called the Hacker Book Club. So we typically read one book a month and discuss anything from technical topics in cybersecurity or a relevant field to sci-fi books. We've even had like movie nights where we took a break in the summer from reading and watched some hacker movies from the 90s and relevant things like that. So it's a lot of fun, and I love it very much. I also am a co-host of the Focal Point podcast, which is part of the ITSP Magazine channel family. So they have a lot of technology-focused podcasts, and myself and someone else host the Focal Point podcast. So it's more around diverse individuals in cybersecurity or a technology field and how they either got their start or some of their opinions on things in security and tech. So very interesting, and have a lot of good conversations there. It's heavily focused on women in tech. So if you're interested, please check that out. I've been in the cybersecurity field for about 3 years now. So in that time, I began as a mentee, needing a lot of help and graciously taking any advice I could get and find. And so I've kind of spent a lot of the last year and a half trying to flip that around and being a mentor. It's never too soon to be a mentor. So if you have any experience whatsoever, even if that's the struggle of getting into technology or security, you've gained experience that someone who hasn't done that yet, who is thinking about it, has. So never too soon to mentor someone. And also, right, you can still be a mentee at the same time. So I'm definitely both, but I do try to give back as much as possible, because I wouldn't be where I am right now without some of my previous mentors and current mentors. I have 2 dogs and a cat, so we have a good time. It is busy around here, and just apologies up front if one of them starts screaming during this, so thanks. I love to travel when we're able to do so, so looking forward to being able to do that again soon, hopefully. I'll talk about this in a minute, but I went to school for art the first time, so I am an artist. Haven't done too much with it lately, but was able to get back into photography during COVID and kind of like not having, much else to do. So here's some recent pictures, and it's fall now, right, in most places. And this is a cool place I like to go to called Diablo Lake here in Washington. So definitely plenty of things to photograph out here. And I love eating and trying new food. So just some fun facts about me. All right, so what is a program manager? I'm going to back up. So I'm just going to stay right here so you can look at the pretty pictures. As I mentioned, I was an artist. I went to school for art the first time. I grew up at a time when if you were deciding to go to college, most people would say, do what you love, or do what you're really good at, right? Something you can see yourself doing so that you're not miserable or unhappy in your career. I didn't necessarily know what I wanted to do, but I was good at art, and I enjoyed those classes in high school and middle school. So my parents were like, just, go to school for art. And I was like, okay, great, thanks, but are you sure? And they were like, yeah, no, do something you're going to be happy with. And I was like, okay. So I did that. And I'm kind of all over the place in things that I like to do. So it was really hard for me to narrow down like one field that I wanted to stick to. So good at photography and digital arts, but really like wasn't sure I wanted to commit to that. Good at ceramics, loved it. Many other things that I was like equally good at, but couldn't commit, right? I was just like, I don't know if I see myself doing this forever. So I took a step back and ended up going back to school again. So I got my second bachelor's in pre-law. To make a long story short, because we don't have enough time for that story, I liked the research part of it, of like working in the legal field, kind of like writing, short summaries of briefs and like learning and just being able to like think on that level, I guess. And also you got to communicate with a lot of really different individuals. I worked in all types of law. So, every field comes with different, I guess, customers, right? Or people that your attorney will represent. So thought about going to law school, but what I really wanted to do was work in digital law office technology. And I was like, do I need a legal degree to like work with the technology in the way that I want? Probably not. So so after that deliberation with myself, took another step back and was like, how do I get into tech, right? Like this wasn't really a question that I had asked myself previously, and I didn't really have anybody who was like, hey, maybe you should work with computers or technology, when I was younger in high school. So I never really thought about it. So I had friends who coded and didn't necessarily think that I wanted to do that all day, every day, as I am good with people. And, you don't really get much customer facing time with just coding. So I ran across an article about cybersecurity one day and read it. And I was like, okay, this is great on so many levels. It sounds super interesting. The type of people that it describes as being good at cybersecurity in general are people who sound like me, right? Like solving problems, good at communication, being able to like speak in layman's terms and technical terms if needed. And it just kept going. And I was like, oh, that's me. And then it talked about all of the job availabilities and how important it is now, right? Which it has been important for a while, but emphasizing it. And I was like, okay, well, mathematically this makes sense. Like even if I end up not liking it, there's jobs, and worth a try. So yeah, I went to a 6-month boot camp after that. Eat, sleep, and breathe cybersecurity, and I loved it. And so I was like, okay, great. And I kind of felt this like sense of relief of like, I think I found the thing that I want to do forever. Which before, right, I was always just kind of like, I don't know if I can see myself doing this. So yeah, ended up in a cybersecurity role at the end of my boot camp, where I did vulnerability assessments. So basically like passive scanning of organizations, security posture, and just kind of having those conversations. I think one of the things that really got me into that role in general was my previous ability to talk to a variety of customers. So like legal customers. I worked briefly in the medical field, like in an office where I had to talk to doctors and nurses. And so in interviewing for my cybersecurity role, they're like, well, what type of people have you, interfaced with, or like, how's your communication skills? So like a lot of emphasis on soft skills in those interviews. So that brings me to say, like, regardless of your background, there's probably something that you can, some skills that you've taken away from that will contribute to your cybersecurity role in a variety of ways, right? So did that first role for about a year, and then I got into pen testing. So actively testing people's environments to organizations' environments to see where they're vulnerable, and then giving them advice back, right? So did that for a little while, but I kind of wanted to be more helpful than just like, hey, I've done all this. Here's a report, and what you need to do. Goodbye. Which is, that's kind of what the pen tester does, right? I mean, there's a lot more to it, and if that's your thing, great. It's like it's actually hacking, and you're getting paid to do it, and that's really cool. But for me, I personally wanted to see more of the overall view of like what's going on with the customer. Like, do they follow up on this? Like, are they going to be okay? And personally, I just was like, I need to see more of the whole picture. So that got me looking at Microsoft and just like how I can contribute to like helping customers more. So I ended up on this team in security through many interviews. And so basically what was described to me as, okay, you're going to be a customer facing engineer. So it basically is a program manager, but like you're the customer facing engineer. So program manager, and I'll go ahead and switch here, is, and apologies for the PDF and not an official slide deck. So program manager, as defined by Microsoft, right, is like you work on many things. Well, not defined by Microsoft, but my role, you work on many things at one time, but you're kind of like overseeing many teams and like accomplishing, right, the goal of the program. I'm customer facing, so I get to take the feedback from customers directly to the engineers that are working on the product, and help them solve, right, kind of some of the questions that customers have, or maybe not solve them if it's like something that's not relevant, right? So sometimes customers ask for things that you can't really give them, but maybe you can. So you try to build that in. So like I get to see the pipeline of like what do customers want and need, and what can we do about that. Now, if you see a role that says PM anywhere, it may mean any one of these things. So it could be program manager, project manager, or product manager. And at different companies, they may define them differently. So I don't want to give you a specific definition of those things, but I would just say, right, program is more of an overall view. And you may have more than one program at once. Project is a specific project, so you probably focus on a project at a time, or you may have multiple projects. And then product is like a product. So for example, I worked on the Microsoft Defender for Office product specifically. And so that's just one email security product. So I did focus on that, but I also had other roles. So it expanded to like a program and overall like view of something that team was trying to accomplish, heavily customer focused. And so what I really wanted to point out here is a main thing is like, yes, I am a woman in cybersecurity who made it sound very easy to kind of get into this role. And for me, it kind of was easy. I'm not going to lie. Like, I'm really good at networking, which I think is also one of my strong points and has gotten me very far. But it's not that easy for everyone, right? So I just want to say, keep trying. Like, there's only 20% of the people in cybersecurity today that are women. And we need to share our experiences in order to continue to raise that percentage. So I think it can be very easy if you have a mentor, if you attend presentations like this and you hear other people's stories and not get discouraged. So you can only get opportunities if you apply for them, right? So if you don't try, nothing's going to happen. So keep in mind, right? Yes, I am a program manager. There are many, many, many roles in cybersecurity, and it can mean many things. If what I described in like my daily routine. So I didn't even describe my daily routine. So my daily routine is like many meetings. I meet with customers, I meet with teams internally. I try to help people solve problems. And it's a lot of talking. It's a lot of talking back and forth, a lot of emails. I have to like really do well at time management, which isn't necessarily a strength of mine, but I'm working on it. And what else? Like it's a lot. I have to, you know, create presentations. I didn't do a good job for this, but I have to create presentations and, you know, interface with a lot of people. So if that sounds interesting to you, definitely try for a PM role. Keep in mind that you don't necessarily have to have PM experience to become a PM. Again, right, like my customer facing experience and soft skills, I think is what got me into this role. And also like my need to want to help a customer completely instead of just see part of, you know, their scenarios through. So also, if you do want to be a PM, it can, I'm sorry, if you do want to get a cybersecurity role, but aren't really sure if you want to commit to being a PM, it's a good way to learn about other technologies. So I find out, you know, what it's like to be an engineer. And I also find out like what customers do at their roles in an analyst position or on a SOC or as a CISO. So you get to talk to a lot of people and it's really interesting and you learn a lot every day. So yeah, so continue to try for opportunities, even if you think you may not qualify. So I think it's like, I don't know, maybe 30% of what's listed on a job posting is like what's necessary to apply for a job, right? Like don't get discouraged if there's many things on the job requirement that you don't have. Like some of that you'll learn on the job. Some of it is just, what do I say? Like nice to haves, right? Like if someone actually had all those, that'd be amazing, but most people don't have every single thing listed on a job posting. So keep that in mind. And then remember that you are enough and your skills are valuable. So like I said before, right, 20% of the cybersecurity workforce is made up of women. We need more women's opinions and thoughts on how things are built, how products are used, how we explain things to customers, and all of your skills are valuable. So I just said that all your skills are valuable. So just remember that all of your previous experience, whether it's technology related or not, is important and will lend itself to whatever career path or job you're trying to get. Okay, I talked really quickly. So if there are any questions, we can go ahead and take some questions. And I'm happy to dive deeper on any of the topics that I covered.
Well, thank you. First of all, let me say thank you so much for being on Conversations today.
Sure.
And I really, really enjoyed your presentation.
Thank you.
It was awesome. And one of the main things that you mentioned on there is the lack of diversity in the workforce, and that's something that we at CybHER are working towards. So it's wonderful to see you include that statistic in there, because not a lot of people know that there's like a severe imbalance in the gender diversity in the workforce.
Right.
20% is not enough. I mean, everybody has a different perspective, and you're only listening to like half the people's perspective if you don't have that equality on your team about different solutions.
Exactly.
And I'm glad many companies are now realizing that and are actively taking up efforts to, you know, rectify that and hire more females. So kudos to them.
Yeah, I think, you know, and I can speak from experience, right? Like my first cybersecurity role was, I was lucky. There were 2 other women on my team, and I loved it, and it was amazing. And my manager was also a woman, so we were having a blast. But you know, that was only a role I could see myself in for a year max, because the learning kind of ended at that point. Like I wasn't going to learn anything new, and I couldn't have grown, even though I had a lot of fun. So moved on to my next team, which was I was the only woman. And then my first team here at Microsoft, I was also the only woman, even though teams that I worked with, there were many women there too, but just directly, right? I didn't really have anybody who knew what was going on my team specifically, who was also female. And then now, one woman just got hired, so there will be two of us. But again, I've worked on very small teams. But I've also been very lucky to have an environment on each of those teams that was welcoming and non-judgmental, and it's I truly have been lucky. But it would also be awesome if there were more like senior PMs that I could work with who were training me and just kind of like, could like say, hey, how are you doing though? Like, and kind of know like things that would go through, like maybe once a month I feel really terrible and like not going to share that with my male peers, right? So things like that.
Have like a female peer mentor.
Yeah.
Yeah,
What
I
is
understand
cool
that.
what is cool about Microsoft though, so if you're looking at big companies, right, like there's a lot of opportunity to reach out to other teams and kind of learn from those experiences and get and kind of network within the company, whereas from smaller companies, right, that may not be available.
That's right. So at any point, if any of the audience has any questions, please put them in the Q&A box in the Zoom control panel. In the meantime, I actually do have a couple of questions.
Sure.
So your job as a project manager, is that your dream job, or do you have a dream job that is different from this?
So it's really funny because in the cybersecurity bootcamp that I mentioned that I attended, I had a buddy, right? So like we stayed buddies, we helped each other with homework and labs, and we're still friends. So we talk a lot about, what are we going to do next and what are our goals? And it has changed so many times in the past 3 years. So when when I was in the boot camp, I was like, I don't want to be a pen tester. Everybody wants to be a pen tester. I'm not going to do that. I ended up doing it. Like it always changes. And I'm serious. Like you don't necessarily know until you actually do it. You can say, yes, I really enjoy this in a hypothetical situation and in things like hackathons and things you do like for fun. It's totally different when you get to a job, and it can depend on the company, right? So you may really love that role, but maybe not on that team for that company. And so I think every time I have a new position, I've kind of changed. Okay, maybe I don't want to do this, but I do like this. And so I keep building it. As a program manager, I do love my job and I get to talk to a lot of new individuals all the time. So I'm not necessarily sure what I want to do after this. I don't know. I can't answer that question.
We have a couple of questions. Do you think cybersecurity needs gift, or is it the thing that you can learn or adapt? So do people naturally have an inclination to cybersecurity, or is it something that you can learn and adapt as well?
Yeah, so I didn't know anything about cybersecurity. I think having the soft skills that are important for cybersecurity, right? You can either have them naturally or you can learn them. For me, right, more of what I needed to learn was technology based, right, and technical. The soft skills kind of come naturally. So it just depends, right? And that's not necessarily a bad thing if you're not great at communicating. There's things to help you do that. Toastmasters, practicing in front of someone else. Like there's lots of options that you have to hone those skills, and they're just like anything else. A skill is a skill. I think cybersecurity is definitely learnable. I did it. I went to school for art. Like, come on, yeah. So you can do it. Anybody can do it. You do have to put in the time and the work. If you have a background in computer science or IT, or you're just really good at tinkering with your own computer or technology, that's a plus, and you'll probably get a better understanding faster. I wouldn't say anyone couldn't learn it. I would just say it may take some people longer than others, and some people learn in different ways. So
That's true. What would you like your lasting impact to be?
oh wow. what a question. Like philosophically, like for um,
Very deep question.
that's
Yeah.
super deep. Who did that? I think, you know, the first mentor I had, who is still we're still close, and I talk to him I don't know, a couple times a year, made a point to say I wouldn't be where I am now without the people who were there for me when I needed them. And so I'm trying to kind of reinforce that with myself. I mean, yeah, it's great that I have like this new career that I've built myself, and like I worked really hard to get here, and I do love it, and I think it's awesome. And I don't see cybersecurity not being needed anytime soon, which is a plus. But you know, at the end of the day, it's like I can work on products and do things, and most of the time it's a team. It's with the team, right? Like there's not a lot that I'm probably going to do that's going to be just me, because I'm not like developing things and creating new stuff with code and like building stuff. It's going to be, you know, a team effort, and I don't want to be responsible for like that, saying that I did it when it's obviously a team. But what I can do is say that I had an impact on someone expanding their career or bettering themselves or their life, by finding something that they truly enjoy.
I absolutely love that. Lifting others while you're rising yourself. I love that. What's your favorite hacker movie?
Hackers, come on. I'm dating myself, but Angelina Jolie is like the OG of, you know, the 90s. So you have to, Angelina Jolie movie. Yeah.
I have to admit, I only watched that movie last year. After someone told me about it, I was like, you know what? I'm very curious to see.
It's just so fun.
It is. I mean, I don't know.
It's fun.
After like all these years of watching all these like high-techy movies, it kind of, it's a different feel.
But I love Mr. Robot, but that's a show, so.
Oh my God, I love Mr. Robot. It's absolutely fantastic. What's the coolest thing that you've ever done? It could be personal, professional, anything.
The coolest thing I've ever done, not related to cybersecurity, just anything?
It could be anything, yeah. Even cybersecurity.
These questions. The coolest thing I've ever done. There's two. I'm not going to pick one. There's two. I know we have 1 minute. When I graduated college the first time, I moved across the country by myself without anybody or anything, and that was exciting and scary. Number two is a cross-country road trip last year, with my pets and my partner, and it took like, I don't know, 20 days or something. Like, it was insane, but it was so beautiful and the best adventure that I could have asked for, and I would totally do it again.
Oh my God, that is awesome. Before we close up everything else, we have one last question. I know you mentioned this kind of in your PDF, but still, what advice would you give to all the young people that are watching this session?
Say yes to everything and try everything. You won't get opportunities that you don't say yes to, and just take them and talk to as many people as you can.
Thank you so much.
That's awesome. Thank you,
And
Angela. You're so
welcome.
Inspiring.
I just, you know, it's like, I love this. So it's different. Like, I would never have been this way like 10 years ago. I would, if you said you're going to be talking to a bunch of people and doing all these things, I'd be like, yeah, right. So I'll share my social media accounts in the chat. So if anybody has any further questions, you can reach me there.
Awesome. Thank you so much. So I think Kanti is going to launch a quick poll for you guys. So that should pop up right now. Popped up for me too. And so also follow us on social media. We have Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. And don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. And also check out our website at cyber.org for more information on our programs and upcoming conversations. Thank you for joining us, Angela, and have a great night.